I never thought that I would see people within my own community turn their back against me, because you have black people who are still in that community that said, as long as we don't rock the boat, everything is fine. You know, so you have the racism that's underlying. You had 4,000 or 5,000 people send in positive letters to the editor in that one newspaper about Troy, and they wouldn't print it. But then you would have somebody in there, you know, saying, we're tired of hearing, you know, black males whine, and yes, my grandfather owned your grandfather, and get over it, and stuff like that in the paper.
Yeah.
You know, and it's acceptable. And it's like, what is that? I used to tell people all the time, oh, Savannah's such a beautiful place, and oh, I love to be there, and oh, the Garden of Good and Evil, and all this other stuff. I said, yeah, you know, the same prosecutor that was in there that got listed Spencer Law, and he was the same prosecutor as my brother case, and he'd been found doing things that he wasn't supposed to do for years, and they never did anything to him. When they come around Savannah and they talk about this and they talk about that and they talk about the moss hanging from the trees, I said, yeah, but if these trees could talk, they would tell you a story about a Savannah that you never thought that would exist. You would swear that we were back a long time ago.
And that's why every time people say, you know, I've been to Savannah before, it's so nice of me. I look at my mom, we look at each other, we just sit there and smile, but they don't know what we're smiling about. Me and mom, we know what we're smiling about. And for me, that's what somewhat fueled my fire. That's why I enjoy doing what I do by speaking out, because I feel that now that my mom, I said earlier, now that you're kind of getting older, you're still young, but you're getting older, it's going to be soon time for me to carry your burden and, you know, pick up where you come from.
It's time for you to, it's not a burden for me, it's time for you to carry it now, because young people have a lot of power and they don't realize it. You don't have to carry it for me, you carry it for yourself, and that's what I want, because the more voices we have, the more states that get rid of the death penalty for whatever reason. It could be money, it could be politics, it could be innocence. The more states that get rid of the death penalty in this country, the better we are. I think that the United Nations has a really big obligation. We have 82 country nations that are against the death penalty, and my thing is, the United States is around policing the world, telling everybody what to do with their citizens, and we have human rights violations against our citizens in this country every day, whether it be health care, whether it be prisons, whether it be the death penalty, whatever the situation is. And I always was taught that you have to clean up your own backyard before you go stepping your foot in somebody else's. And the thing about it is, we don't want to look in that mirror, because we think we're above everybody. But if we believe in human rights, if we believe in we're a country that doesn't torture, we can't have the death penalty. There's no way. And until we get to a point where we want to be a totally civil society, and if Europe can do it, if other countries can do it, if Nelson Mandela can spend all that time in prison and come out and not hate and say we don't need a death penalty, we can do it over here. And my father used to sit us down, me and my brothers and sisters, probably like once or twice a month. And he would just have these really serious conversations about what the world was really like. And that even though the world was improving when it came to civil rights, some of the things that we would face as young people that were of color. And I think one of the things that actually started was, I was in a Kmart, and I don't know if you remember, a long time ago, Kmart used to have the blue light specials. And they had a blue light special one day, and me and my dad was in the store. And it was like around a little jewelry counter, you know, a little cheap jewelry. And so I was like spinning the jewelry thing, and there was another little girl on the other side, a little white girl, and she was there, and I was trying to get her attention because, you know, I just wanted to kind of say hi, you know, little girls, little girls. And so I actually stood on the side of the jewelry thing like what she was, and she would spin it and I would spin it. And so all of a sudden, she started screaming, and, you know, she took off running, and she was like, Daddy, 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 that nigger touched me, that nigger touched me. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of something on the jewelry stand, you know? And so I was like taking my hand off of it because I didn't want it to touch me either. You know what I mean? And so then her father comes over and he starts yelling at me, and then my father comes over and is like, you know, like, what the hell is going on here? And he's like, you know, you get your little nigger child away from my child or whatever. And then my daddy just went off. And we got to the car and my dad was upset. And I couldn't figure it out. And that's the first time I had been addressed as a nigger. And my parents always tried to keep those type of things away from us. And my father was upset because he really wanted to punch the man, you know what I mean? But having his child with it, he wanted to set an example that he was above that. And so then he started having these conversations about what it was really like. And growing up in Savannah, we lived in the first upper middle class black neighborhood. It was full of police officers and things like that. And we were the first owners of our home. And my father wanted to make sure that we had, I mean, we had the big house, 3-bedroom house. We had the fence all around it, the dog, you know, the played sports for the Police Athletic League. And it's like all these things my father wanted us to have. Both my parents worked. And my father always said that you should always, you know, strive to do better than the generation before you by making yourself better. And they used us to integrate, you know, some white schools, and that wasn't very pleasant, you know, in high school and things like that. And so it's kind of like you always knew your place, you know, and if you weren't a dumb black person, you were uppity, you know, and so people that lived in the projects thought that you were uppity black folk. White people thought that you were just black people trying to be, you know, white. And so it's like we never just fit in anywhere. But we always knew, no matter how much money we had, my father owned a construction company, how educated we were still considered niggers in Savannah. Well, we still have trees downtown Savannah where a lot of the tourists come that actually have the nooses. And the tree trunks have grown around them where they used to try to scare black people by hanging black bodies in the trees. And I mean, how they used to take black people behind the old jail and beat them into telling different things. And a lot of those people are still alive today and just different things. And it's like they, you know, the trees are kind of like a canopy, you know? And to me, it's kind of like it hides the secrecy of Savannah. They're majestic, they're beautiful, but they were used as a fear tactic. I mean, you have signs all over Savannah say, join the Confederacy. Every year they have this big thing where they reenact the Civil War with the Confederate side. And then I had one of my friends from work one time say, well, Martina, you know, you should come out. She said, because, you know, we're really not prejudiced and you should come out with us. And I said, what am I supposed to do, be a slave? What, am I going to reenact being a slave? I was like, what the hell am I going to come out there for that for? So the thing about it, if the trees could talk, it would tell that we have a generation of black people that are still in fear. When we were going around the community getting petitions signed for Troy, I had elderly black people tell me, oh, you're on TV and you're just so pretty and I believe in what you're doing for your brother, but I can't sign that. They might take my Social Security. Yeah. How are they going to take your Social Security? But see, these are the things because people are taught to naturally be afraid. And that's why I think that if those trees could talk, it would be shame upon Savannah.